Welcome back, everyone. Peace and love. Thank you for coming back to Flow into You TV. With Ifa Busiayo Nafis, I am your host and facilitator for this Soul Flow conversation. So, those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, my OG subscribers, you just subscribed from a recent video. I want to thank you for coming back too. So, I want to go ahead and give a brief announcement. The weekly program has changed for the Flow into You TV programming. So I will continue to facilitate weekly Soul Flow conversations. As far as the Wednesday program and Friday program, I recognize that the energy output that I need requires me to, especially the community Skillshare experience, I want to pour more energy into it, and I don't want it to be a fast output. So there is a bi-weekly experience that will take place starting in August. That will be where the community Skillshare experience that is how that experience will flow. And it'll be every Wednesday, but it'll just be bi-weekly, not weekly. Now, as far as the Friday listening experience, I am tweaking that, whether I want it to be where we come together live and engage with each other on live here on YouTube, or I do a pre-recorded video such as this, and we engage with information in regards to research, which was what I wanted to do before. But that idea came up and I was like, I like that idea. I like both ideas. So please give me your feedback in the comment section if you would rather have a live experience where every Friday, that would be weekly, I show up every Friday live here on YouTube and we have a conversation. We can talk about, we can do a Q&A. It can be a theme for the Q&A. I'm still molding that. So I would love to have you all's input. Please put in the comment section and let me know. Let me know what you want for the listening experience. If you want a live video experience or pre-recorded experience. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started with the Soul Flow conversation this week. This one is going to be one that connects with us approaching a new moon cycle, and we are also engaging with other planetary cycles that are in a retrograde movement. I will highlight the Mercury Retrograde cycle as well as the new moon cycle. And if you are in alignment with the new sky, or the living sky, and with sidereal astrology, welcome. We recognize that here in this space. No, not against tropical astrology. I'm not going to badmouth it or any of that. I just prefer to connect with the real sky, because to me it gives a more accurate energetic frequency that is actually active at the moment. And with that being the frequency of the moment, by aligning with the heavens, I just prefer to be in attunement with what's energetically going on, so that I can engage accordingly with that frequency. It's just a preference. And if you are engaging with Western astrology or the tropical astrological system, you will still be able to work with what the information will expose in what we're engaging with energetically. even though it may be different from what you're hearing, seeing, and maybe even experiencing, because I have a whole theory on that. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with our soul flow conversation. I offer this prayer in this moment to align and attune with the living spirit of the Creator, of my Most High, my own internal spirit, the spirit of my mothers and my fathers, those who align with wisdom, clarity, and peace. Move away any witchcraft, wizardry, confusion, or lack from this conversation. I now align myself to be a clear conduit of what we need to know in this season that serves our highest good. Ashe. May my thoughts be your thoughts. Spirit of the Most High God, what is the create collective? What do we need to communicate and talk about in this conversation? Overthrow those ideas that keep you stuck in a paradigm of loss, I'm hearing the word seize. Seize unconscious behavior. Oh, that is random. I don't know where that song came from. Love No Limit by Mary J. Blige. Baby, there's no need to tell you. Don't know where that song came from, but it came. That's for someone here. Love No Limit. Interesting. So lovey-dovey energy. I'm here for it. It's making me feel all cozy. So our love lives, yeah, I'm getting warm. I'm getting warm near my loins. Ooh. Okay. Let me get some more clarity on this. How do you want me to use this? The creator and the animal is out here. Some new animal guides. New animal guides in the form of new pets coming out here. Yeah, something in the home base. Sorry, y'all. Still navigating my injury. So let's go. Let's have a conversation. Let's put this together. My guides, help me to form language for me to translate the images here. Information. Melodies from Heaven. That song just came up from Kirk Franklin. I'm hearing Selah. I heard Selah B. What is Selah? That's completely forgot what Selah B means, but Selah B. That's for someone here. It's a shift in the home base happening. Shift in the home base. Security. So primal needs are also something we're going to be exploring this week. What is safety? What is security? Moving beyond survival, moving beyond stretching, creating new experiences. Using our origins. So ancestral work, working with ancestral, in the energy that we're in currently, the sun has just transitioning into the constellation of Cancer. And the Mercury retrograde cycle we're inside of at the moment is also in Cancer. And the past is here, basically, right here. And using the past to create a new paradigm of security and safety that extends beyond fight and flight, because the fourth house is out here. And so typically when we're also navigating with fourth house energy, we are also exploring the psychological foundations, beliefs that we've accepted and that we've allowed to take root in us. So this could be a great week to work with our base chakra. And in working with our base chakra, navigating our relationship with our ancestors and our mothers, the ones that are the creator energy is out here. So those that have created us, created our bodies, what else? I'm hearing surrendering our fate to what is to come. Not what you were told it would be. Recognize the ideas that have been planted inside you to destroy you. But translate that destruction to bridge you to creating a new paradigm. It's time to accept the ideas of what you've created. So we may go to our, for those of you that engage, that have an ancestor altar, you are engaged in ancestor veneration. There is a, you are actively engaged in this practice, this indigenous practice. I'm gonna come back to that. Those of you that are already engaged in this practice, take the opportunity to facilitate communication that addresses dogma, birthed from ideas that interfere with your family system. If you are one that is this, that you are the one in your family facilitating this indigenous practice, and you are the spokesperson, you are the one that is speaking on behalf of those in your family systems, and you are using the opportunity of what you're observing with the intention of expanding new possibilities in your family system. It is time to communicate what it is that you're observing to your ancestors with the intention of creating, expanding. And because creation and destruction are two sides of the same coin, there has to be a delicate balance. So, what are you speaking to in your family system? Are you only contributing to the conversation of destruction in your family system by speaking about all of what is going wrong? And although that has its place in the conversation, because in order for you to acknowledge that in order for you to have a solution, you have to be able to detect accurately the problem. You must be able to accurately detect and identify the problems that are impacting the expansion of your family system. However, if that is the only contribution that you have to the conversation, First question is, are you contributing to the problem by only being the one that sees the problem, and you are turning a blind eye to the solutions that is already existing within the problem? Creation and destruction are two sides of the same coin. The solution is never far away from the problem, just as much as deception is never far away from the truth. In order for deception to exist, it has to have the truth. How are you using your instinct? How are you exploring the psyche of your ancestral system, the systems of your family? The activation, the Mercury retrograde cycle, mercurial energy, this specific movement requires not just being the problem solver that only can detect the problem, but the problem solver that can detect the solution inside of the problem, so that progress, that new systems can be generated. And because there is a process to creation, from the conception of the idea to the actual materializing of the idea, there is a process. There's a process to this. A baby is not just born when the sperm intercepts the egg. There is a process that must take place. It's cycles. There are 3 periods. And by the end of that 3rd period, there is a materialization. So, with that being said, this week, it is very important. And within this new moon cycle, this new month cycle, within this new 28-day cycle, to really get into the psyche, the ideas that have generated your family system, and to assess where they are in the creation cycle. Even a star, although a star can exist for millions of years, it has an expiration date. There are ideas that are in existence at the moment that need to be nurtured. They need to be nurtured and protected. It is now time for you to assess where you fit. Where is your role in the generation and the creation of these new cycles, of these new ideas, whether they are showing up as new children are coming to the family system, or whether there is new ideas that are seeking to take root because the old ideas are debilitating and destroying the integrity and the evolution of the family system. And so one of the things that I recognized in my own family system that I approached my ancestors about, just to give an example, is internalized bigotry and bigotry, period, that exists in the family system. And this can show up in microaggressions. This can show up as homophobia. This can show up as internalizing the oppressor's viewpoint, internalizing oppression that's coming from an outside source into your own body system, and then it projects outward and infiltrates into the family system, which requires an individual analysis on your own part. But also, as you're doing the individual analysis, that you're addressing that it has come from somewhere inside of your family system, considering that this is the first social engagement that you have when you enter into the world. Now is the time to really use your indigenous practices in a way that is going to solve problems. Not just, yes, we give reverence to our ancestors, but we are here on a specific mission. There is a specific promise that our ancestors made that go all the way back to the founding mothers and fathers of our family structures, that they made as a vow to the Creator that this would be what the family would focus on in being in existence and manifesting here in this dimension of creation. It's not enough to just say, oh, my ancestors don't play about me. Now it's time to show that you don't play about your ancestors and your family. What does that conversation look like? It's time to get political, even. It's also time to address that if there's anyone in the family system that is not supportive of the progression of the family, that they are not to be present for offerings, that they are not to be present in the environment, that their influence will not influence the progression and the manifestation of the fulfillment of the promise that was made by our foremothers, by our forefathers. Families create societies. Much of what can shift in our society must be addressed at the family level. So a lot of what we're seeing on the world stage and in our communities began first in the family system, or was nurtured in the family system. If you have the capacity to see, to feel, to hear, and to move energy at a level that can create an influence that is positive and create an impact that will shift imbalances in your family by addressing, and this does first start with us. A lot of us have moved through our own cycles of life, and we have seen the impact of families on us, but are we willing to address outside of the victimization of it and move into a more expanded experience of what we've experienced and honor, oh, this is bigger than me. What was the genesis of this experience that has mutated and become my experience? What is the seed? What is the idea that has mutated to facilitate this specific dynamic that is happening in our family, that is influencing disease, that is influencing distortion, confusion, miscommunication, molestation, homophobia, bigotry, poverty, aggression, narcissism, feelings of shame, unworthiness. Whatever it is that you can detect, that you see, take that to the altar. And you may feel, please understand that every ancestor is not for the progression of the family system, especially if there was something that happened that made them want to disconnect or disown the family, and they're in a state of vengeance or they're carrying family curses. Use your discernment. But also use your authority. And reimagine what you desire. It's not enough to just talk about what you want or to speak negatively about the family. You don't even have to involve physical family members to imagine the change that you want to see in your family system. Ashe. Let's keep going. And I'm hearing some of us are unwilling to forgive, but we think that we are forgiving, but we're not forgiving. So please assess, what are you genuinely forgiving, or are you not forgiving? And also to understand that there is, because the ocean is out here, that there are, this is going to require, this will be the maximum use of the energy that we're in right now. This is why attuning, connecting with, aligning with the heavens will be of your maximum benefit. Especially because the ocean energy is out here. Working with they're working with the material of the unconscious. Because of course, when we're discussing family systems and the genesis of the idea, it predates us. It's going to predate, where even if you 80 years old, it still predates you. So there may be a lot of emotions fuel thoughts, right? Emotions fuel ideas. So there may be a lot of momentum behind ideas that may expose themselves to you at this time. Be mindful of that. You don't want to throw yourself in front of a moving train right when it just put its foot on the brakes, right? Because it takes time for the train to come to a complete stop because of how much momentum is moving the train. Okay? So be aware that when you are exploring these ideas, know that there's emotions that are fueling these ideas. And some of these emotions are deep. They're strong. Some of these ideas are rigid. When we talk about bigotry, we're talking about rigid ideas that does not want to accept new ideas. Right? So Be very mindful in your process when you are approaching these ideas. Be gentle with these ideas. Be receptive to what comes up. Pray for compassion. Pray for the spiritual energy that you need to match the emotional momentum that comes up behind these ideas that may no longer be serving your family system. And call in the energy that will support the momentum, the nurturing of rooting of new ideas to replace these old ideas that must be destroyed. See beyond the surface. With Mercury in Cancer, this is very much so about, this is not about words. This is very much so the language of the fuel behind reality. The fuel behind the manifestation. The fuel behind the language. And the sun is also present in this constellation. What fuels your protection mechanisms? Also with the animal out here too, be aware of what your defense mechanisms are. This might be a time to take inventory of your defense mechanisms. And this may be a time to implement new protection for yourself at this time as well. Especially if most of us are undergoing a new embodiment, recreating ourselves. So what served us before in our protection is not going to be sustainable for us in the reimagining and the recreation, moving out of a transition into a new embodiment of who we are, what we're becoming. Our instincts may be sharpening. New wealth emerging. New levels of support. Some of us may be securing new housing. And also I'm getting, some of us will be a new emotional safe space for our ancestors. So really be mindful of what you're receiving, because you may get resistance initially, and if you allow yourself to be overwhelmed by that resistance, you may miss moving through the resistance and actually seeing what is fueling the resistance. Yeah. You know, our intuition is a gift to see beyond the surface. Get into the depths, right? Allowing your prayers to support the expansion of a new container. You may be expanding beyond. It's like a plant, right? Once the plant is large enough, it outgrows its pot that it may have initially been in. It needs to move into a new container. This may look like a physical house. This may be a spiritual house. This may be a new base. Yeah. Keep your emotions cool. Keep your emotions cool. Keep your emotions cool. There may be an experience that happens this week. That requires, or where there is a necessity for cool fuel. Not hot fuel, cool fuel. This is random, but connected. If you need to get gas, put gas in your car. Put gas in your car at night. Fill your gas up. Fill your tank up at night. Yeah. When there's an activating moment and certain thoughts come to your minds, observe those thoughts. Pay attention to the emotions that come up behind those, that come up in connection with those thoughts. If those thoughts come in, if the thoughts from your experience, what you're experiencing that's taking place outside of you, give them cool fuel. Let the momentum that you feed it be cool, so that your behaviors are cool. That how you show up, it's cool. When you pay attention also too, because we're reassessing patterns, right? We're going into ancestral patterns. So what may come up that may reveal itself to you may show up in a form of heat. Balance it out with cool energy. You don't have to ignore what's going up. You don't have to disassociate or ignore. Like, I would encourage you the advising that's showing up in this conversation is to nurture whatever comes up, either in your ancestral practice and exploring and discovery, in your own personal contribution to it, in what shows up to you in your day-to-day life, that the fuel is cool. If heat is added to it, burning out will happen. And also a sequence of events. It may not be the initial moment, but it will ignite a sequence of events that will increase or inflame, create inflammation where it doesn't need to be. There also may be inflammation in the family system. So be aware of that, right? Approach your practice. That's what I need to come back to. And for those of you that may watch this and you have certain dogma that you nurture that moves in opposition to indigenous thoughts, but your ancestry is in connection to indigenous ways of living. It is time to address that. It is time to address your own bigotry surrounding indigenous practices. That is coming through very firm. It is time to address your own bigotry towards indigenous practices and your perception of others that are engaging in it. And getting to the root of why you do what you do. And what the ideas that you house in the library of your mind, the genesis of them. And ask questions. Just ask questions. Questions will always lead you to the answers that it will lead you to the truth. If you feel like you are not open to accept other ideas and beliefs, unpack what you're conserving. Some of us may be going against the conservatism that exists in our neighborhoods, or even that's taking place on the political stage, and yet we have ideas that keep that alive unconsciously. That keep these ideas in existence. So it's not enough to project our disdain when we maybe, and even if we are, it's existing in our family system, which we are a part of, we're not separate of. And that's where our focus needs to be versus creating dialogue or creating or speaking in inflammatory ways against what's taking place on a grander scale, instead of coming into using our sacred divine power to address that everything is interconnected. And where do we begin in addressing the issues that we see on a greater scale in our own backyard? So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We're going to wrap this up with a final card, a final food for thought in this conversation. What is our food for thought, our wrap up idea for the soulful conversation? This is very tied into last week's conversation with authority. If you haven't checked out that specific reading, that soul flow conversation, please check it out, because this is all of this is moving and flow with each other. Ashe. Yeah. Whatever you do, whatever your approach is, based on this conversation and what shows up for you in the next 7 days, keep your heart open. You may come up against some challenging ideas, some challenging people, some challenging concepts. But it's very important to keep your heart open. That is the message that just came out. Keep your heart open. Everything is seeking to expand your container to create more love in your life. And love is always seeking to express the divine. That these two dimensions of life, the upper, the higher, and the lower, they meet in the heart space with the intention to harmonize. But if the heart is closed, there's walls, there's rigidity, there will be a interference with the harmonization of these two realities where heaven and earth meet. Ashe. That is the end of our soul flow conversation. So, a way to integrate this information was mentioned through ancestral work. Also, being able to keep your heart open, keep your emotions cool. This may mean not consuming a lot of foods that are, if you are already hot natured, and this is you knowing your own disposition, balance that out with cool energy. That may mean you need to do your research and with Ayurvedic foods, your own, Ayurvedic body profile. Traditional Chinese medicine also provides insight into different food temperatures and, what to consume to create balance ultimately in your life. And also, you're on the cool side, don't get cold. You on the cool side, balance it. It's all about balance. It's all about harmonizing energies, right? If you're too hot, inflammation occurs. If you're too cold, circulation stops. Right? Circulation becomes more challenging. And I am not giving medical advice, Make sure that you honor with your medical provider. This is just information where you can incorporate to have a holistic idea and awareness of navigating the body. However, I am not giving medical advice, okay? Put that out there. So that is something to be mindful of as we move through the energy of this week. Also, as we move through this retrograde cycle, right? Be open, be balanced in this energy. Allowing the information of others, the projections, and allowing it to consume you as to what a retrograde cycle, Mercury retrograde cycle means to you, may create something for you that doesn't serve you, right? Be always connected to your own experience and what you're experiencing. Attune with the heavens. Look up versus just taking information from someone else. Engage with it on your own, with your own personal being, so that you can attune with the embodiment of it, not just getting hearsay. If you are interested also in looking at the real sky, I would encourage you to download an app called Sky Guide. With the Sky Guide app, you can actually use your mobile device and you can use it as a telescope to see the accurate placements of where the planets, or to see the accurate planetary movement taking place in the sky. Okay? I would encourage all of you to do that are watching this video. Okay? Become your own become an explorer so that you can really attune your body, creating harmony. We are in a time where harmony, the spirit of harmony, must be embodied in us. Okay? So, if this message touched you and you would like to move into a deeper awareness in your own individual experience, I invite you to reach out to me. And there is a link in the description box where we can have a one-on-one conversation to see how this cycle, how these energies are individual, how it's impacting you personally. So if you would like support in that way, I invite you to click on the link and book with me. And if you also, another tip to keep yourself cool, just put some water right here. Offer cool water to your spirit. Here, the back of your neck, your navel, and your big toe on your left and your right foot. And let your internal spirit know, I am offering you coolness because I am feeling heated. Something has got me heated. And I want to offer coolness to you so that my spirit remain cool, so that I can see clearly and not see red. Because it is summer, okay? Don't let the heat get to you. I love all of you. And I'm sending peace to you. May the spirit of peace embrace you. May the spirit of compassion keep you close, keep your family close, and keep your community embraced, so that we can reimagine our world in a more harmonious way. Thank you for tuning in. If you made it to this part of the video, drop a green heart, okay? Drop a green heart. You a real one. I'm sending my love to you, and until next week, peace.